is going on, y'all? Thank y'all so much for joining us. My name is Chris Hennessy, and this is Ending the Stigma. Y'all may notice, hey, Charlene Brown, y'all may notice it's a little bit different behind me. I moved offices. I'm in a lot bigger room. It is very echoey in here. Thankfully, they carpeted it before we moved in. They had tile down, and it was just like, it was terrible. I was stressed out that it was going to be awful. But anyway, so if y'all know me, y'all know how I'm kind of a stickler for some things, and good audio is one of them. So this will be the first live stream in this room in the echoes. So I'm going to be very curious to see how the audio turns out. So let's say hi to some folks because the chat is popping already. Hey, Amber Williams is here. Randy House is here. Amy Wills is here. I tried to this is another thing. I tried to have virtual lunch with Amy today, and Zoom was not working. Like, my internet was like a complete crap show. So I did a test live at lunch after I got off with her to see if it would work, and it was not working. IT got in my computer and messed around and did something, and it's working now, thank God, because I was really stressing that I was going to have to cancel tonight. Charlene Brown is here. How are you, ma'am? Haven't seen you in a while. Rob Raposki is here. Hey, Kelly. Good to see you. Who else we got? Tanya is in the house. The King of Candy Corn is you, Adam, and you're not on here, so we can make some noise for you. We don't make noise for. I don't make noise for Candy Corn. Hey, Jesse. Good to see you. Tiffany, man. I agree, Amy. So we had to reschedule this lunch like 3 times, and then my internet crapped on me today, and I was pissed. Anyway. Yeah, or Zoom, or the IT guy that originally set up my computer and had the IP address wrong or something. Hey, Cody, Rita Pearson, good to see you. All right, cool. There's lots of people here. I love it. My guest tonight has a really cool story. We've been connected. Hey, Britt Crawford. Hadn't seen you in a while. I feel like you're judging me. Now I'm really going to feel like you're judging me, like with the audio being kind of echoing and stuff. Anyway, she has a really cool story. I love it whenever I hear a story of someone who was affected by something in their life and it made them choose. And I say a career path, but it's really a calling for her. She had a husband who was deep in addiction, made their life kind of crazy. It led her to want to really kind of study addiction and see, the science behind it or whatever, and led to her becoming like a therapist and a counselor and all kinds of cool stuff. So I am not going to say any more about it. I'm going to let her come out and tell her story. And I'm going to, here's Krystal Brown, y'all. Hi.
Hey.
Thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you too. Hold on. You guys, I have 4 kids, and I have one in a cover on the steps, and my dog is trying to figure out what's going on over here. And he is.
So do you need to bounce? Do you need to go get him?
No, I think he's
okay.
Fine. He's like over here, like, what is this thing moving? So yeah, I'm Krystal, and I'm glad to be here with you guys. Chris, you want to start?
Yeah. So like I said, you have a really cool story about how you got into what you're doing. So why don't you tell us what you're I know what you're doing now, but how did you get into like being a therapist and being a counselor for people that are in addiction and all that kind of stuff? So kind of tell us as much or as little of the story of how you of your life and all the stuff that happened and how that led into you doing what you're doing now.
Yeah. So, like you had said, Chris, it started out a long time ago. I didn't know anything, honestly, in regards to addiction. Now, my biological father was an addict, but I was adopted. I just really didn't know a whole lot. When I married my children's father, I quickly learned what addiction really was. We struggled, and it was that spiral, that roller coaster of having hope and then losing hope. And so, we there was a point where my children and I were homeless. We had, I was 30 something years old and had three children and didn't know where my kids were getting clothes for the winter, where they were getting food from. I knew like I was gonna have to move back in with my parents eventually, and um, it was a really hard, life experience. It was a roller coaster,
Yeah.
and I remember one day I closed my eyes and I thought, to myself, what is happiness? And I saw myself standing on a deck drinking coffee, and my kids were playing in the backyard, and I was just smiling watching them play in a backyard, and had no idea where this was leading me in life until
Hmm.
um it finally came to a point where I had to decide, am I going to stay here and continue to have myself and my children affected by, decisions that my husband was making that were not just affecting himself, but our whole family.
Hmm.
I remember my daughter's first day of preschool, and we waited and waited and waited and waited for her dad, and he was in active addiction. He never came,
Right.
and so those kind of things just broke my heart. And so we went to Tennessee. We moved to Tennessee. First time I'd ever been away from my family, my friends, everybody I knew. Um, and so we moved here. I became a substance abuse counselor. Um, I finished up my school.
So
One
tell us real quick, and it was because of your lived experience that led you to want to study that, right? And
Yes,
do
and
that.
so yes, because with it amazes me how somebody's life could be good, and then we see them collapse. You know what I mean? And it is just a revolving cycle.
Hmm.
Um, and so because of that, it led me to want to study the brain, study addiction, and learn everything, I could about it. Because if I'm living through something, I want to be educated on whatever it is that, I'm living through. Um, so I just
Hmm.
started studying and studying, and I put myself through school. Thank God for my oldest daughter. I don't know what I would do without her, because she helped me in life so much. With my youngest children, while I was in school, I was a single mom and put myself through a master's program, and I'm now a licensed therapist. I'm an EMDR therapist, and substance abuse is something that has always just been my passion from the beginning. And changing lives, giving people a new set of eyes is what I have said. We learn to live one way, and unless somebody teaches you a different way to live, you just never know. You never know
Right.
what's out there. And then so whenever I moved to Tennessee and bought my first house, um it sure did have a deck and a privacy fence, and my kids were playing in the backyard. And I just remember thinking, like, I cannot believe, I'm here in life. I just cannot believe
Right.
all we have been through and how we have struggled. And, I'm here today. You know what I mean?
Drinking coffee on a deck while your kids are playing in the yard, just like you
Right,
saw.
right. And so it's pretty cool, to know the struggles I've been through and that I've made it out. But not only that, it showed me how how powerful our brains really are.
Hmm.
We have the power to do so many things in our lives. And, something I tell, I'm now a clinical director for a level 2 children's facility in Kentucky. I'm licensed in Kentucky and Tennessee. And we're actually we're in the process of starting a substance use unit there. But, something I always tell my kids, you know what, guys? The only thing in life that holds us back is our own minds. Doesn't
Hmm.
matter what it is, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. And whether it be toxic parents, toxic relationships, toxic friends,
Hmm.
you get something in your mind, and it just takes one person
Yeah.
to ruin it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, and it takes that one little bit of fear that a person puts in you to make you not want to do something,
Hmm.
to progress. And so, I try to really teach my kids. I try to teach my own kids, never, ever, ever let somebody put anything negative into your brain. If
Yeah.
you want to do something, you do it.
Yeah. For sure. 100%. So before we kind of dig into a little bit more about what you're doing at the center, we were just talking backstage, and I didn't know this before. I don't think we talked about it when we were on Zoom, but your husband is now doing really well.
My ex-husband, yes, he is.
Ex-husband, yeah, your ex-husband. My
Um,
bad.
he is, man. He went to um a rehab. And I know, like, the cycle of addiction, you go through many rehabs, things like
Right.
that, because it's more than just um changing your people, places, and things. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And so, although that is something you need to do, it's
You
more than
got to
that.
do it. Yeah, yeah. I tell a lot of people that there's more to the story than just changing your people, places, and things. But you're not going to succeed. That's just part of it. You got to do
Right,
that part.
right. And so, you know, he is doing so well in life. It's crazy. Like, he is remarried. I love his wife. I wouldn't know what to do without her in life. Like, she is an amazing person.
That's awesome.
He is a welder. He's doing really well. And he really overcame his meth addiction. And
Hmm.
and one thing I told you, Chris, too, is that you know even in his active addiction, the one thing that I never wanted to do was keep my kids from him. Even if he is, I like I said, you know my main goal, like, they had to be safe. So even if it
Hmm.
was, you can see the kids, but your mom has to be there.
Hmm.
Those are the kind of, stipulations. But the one thing I never wanted to do was ever keep the kids away from him.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm so thankful that I didn't. because, to me, it's so important that children have their fathers in their
Yes,
lives. Dads matter.
for sure.
And so, it is so important to me that fathers are in their children's lives regardless. I mean, it's one thing if they're abusing their kids or,
Sure.
sexually abusing them, anything, but um because you're sick is what I used to tell my kids too when they were younger, like your dad is sick
Mm-hmm.
and he loves you, he's just sick,
Mm-hmm.
but because somebody's sick, I'm not going to keep their children from them.
Right.
And and no father should ever have to beg to see their kids or have to, have stipulations like, well, so um because of that, we have a very good relationship today,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I'm able, his wife and he and I, we all get along, and it's good. It's so good, and it's so healthy for our children.
That just says a lot. And I told you this backstage, but I want to say it in front of everyone. That just says a lot about what kind of person you are to be able to forgive someone that put you through the ringer like that, had you, you know, homeless and all the things. Um, and you're able to forgive him and have a relationship and have a friendship with him and have a, you know, be cordial and civil and like each other now, like they just, the
Absolutely.
forgiveness has, and I know you know this, but the forgiveness, unforgiveness doesn't hurt anybody but yourself.
Right.
But too often we let the bitterness get in the way of doing that. So just big ups to you for that, because I think that's key. And it's something people need to hear is, if you can forgive somebody for doing that to you, that's, you can forgive the person that talks smack to you at work. You know what I
Oh
mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
or the person or the spouse that they may have gone through the same thing you went through, but maybe they're bitter about it, and I promise you it's affecting their life in a negative way.
Right, right. And you know yeah, and I think, Chris, like I spent some time feeling bitter, like, you know what I mean.
Hmm.
And
Oh
uh
yeah, yeah.
but one day, well, actually, I remember the day. I'm also a certified parenting instructor, and when I was taking some classes, we were doing a training, and in this training we were talking about um, fathers in active addiction,
Hmm.
and it just really hit my heart. And right then I just said, you know what, there's no reason to hate or to be angry at him
Right.
for making choices that he really wouldn't have made had he have been sober. You know what I
Right.
mean? So, and plus, poor thing, he probably doesn't even remember half the stuff that
Right.
ever happened. And so,
I know
there was
those
no,
years of my life are kind of hazy. Like I know I remember
yes.
some things, but I know there's some stuff that I just absolutely don't remember doing.
Right. And and because of that, why would I spend any more of my time having a grudge against somebody who really wasn't even in the right frame of mind to even
Hmm.
remember what he was doing,
For
you
sure.
know? And but it took me a lot to get there. But now, because of this, because of my experience, I'm able to stand here today. And something that I hold dear to my heart, I'm also a certified parenting instructor, and so I work with I've worked with women who were in active addiction while pregnant. And I worked to find them resources and get them the help they needed to, have successful pregnancies. That is something I've
Right.
focused on for years. I also work a lot with fathers because it is something that is so strong to me. Like, I absolutely all about children having their fathers in their lives, and the impact that it causes when mothers keep the fathers away, or the fathers stay away because they don't want to get in the drama with the mother, things like
Right.
that. And and I see kids all the time whose dads are not in their lives, and it greatly has affected them. They don't have that that father figure, and because of that, they seek external sources to fulfill
Yep.
that fatherly need.
Yep. I don't remember what the statistics are. I've heard them 100 times. They're extremely high of the percentage of people that have been locked up or in addiction who didn't have a father in their life.
Right. And, so, I work with dads, I work with the moms, and I also, something I really work really closely with too is CPS. I work closely with CPS because a lot of times, unfortunately, these children whose parents are in addiction, sorry, I got sidetracked by
Oh,
this.
you're good.
um, so but a lot of times these parents who are in addiction, their children end up in CPS custody.
Right.
And so I work really closely with CPS and help them also with parenting classes so these parents can get their children back eventually.
I love that. There's such a masculinity crisis. We were talking about this backstage too, in society today, where if you're any kind of a man that's not a sissy, or not, I don't even know how the right way to put it. I don't know the right way to put it, but I'm going to keep it PC on the show just so I don't piss anybody off. But, there's such a masculinity where if you're any kind of man, then you're considered toxic. It's toxic masculinity, and that shit gets thrown around like confetti, and I absolutely hate it. And so to hear people talk about wanting to help the dads, wanting to help the men in a time where society's trying to push men out, I love it.
Sorry, that's my baby. That's Capone. He's my baby. And
I've seen pictures of him.
Yeah, and this is Duke. He's a therapy dog. So he goes to work with me, and he has a job, and he supports us. So.
I love it.
Okay. He's about to have his first birthday.
Oh.
I love you. Yeah, you're a big boy.
He's a big old baby, isn't he?
He is. Oh my gosh, he's such a baby. They were like,
That's
"What are
awesome.
you doing, Mom?"
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, anyway, I love that you're working with fathers too, and just it's good because the kids need the dads in their lives. They really do.
Yes, they do. And, I know that the society has put more emphasis on fathers being in lives, especially given all the facts that we know now. But it is such a stigma in itself. You know what I mean? And it's hard sometimes. The kids, they don't have their dads a lot of times, and
right.
Just seeing the impact of not having the father in children's lives, it breaks my heart sometimes.
For sure. 100%. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing now. Because you're working with kids now.
Yes. So I worked with adults. I've worked in, several different aspects of substance use. Started out in a halfway house for incarcerated males in the Department of Corrections. And then it went on to outpatient substance use. And then after that, I started working at our community mental health center and working with, hey, Duke, no. Capone, no. Hold on one second. Let me move this and oh yeah, they're over here.
They're having all the fun.
But so I started working with kids and loved it. I never thought that I would like working with kids, especially in the substance use aspect. But I absolutely love it. I started working as a youth treatment coordinator at my old facility, and I would go to court with kids. I would do things such as, IOP classes. We would do things such as, if they needed other resources or inpatient treatment, that's what I would do. I would help them, get the help that they needed.
Right.
And because, the thing is, kids in active addiction, a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times it's stemming from their home lives. And it's all, just a full circle. And, they do it because maybe their parents, they've seen their parents do it. Maybe they're struggling with things at home and don't know how to use their words. Hold on one second. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm going crazy. Hold on.
You're good.
Hey, sissy. Hey, come on.
All right.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
No, you're good. I love it.
Just doing the most back here. I was like, I can't concentrate. They're just over here fighting, and they weren't really fighting. They were playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they love each other. So, anyways, but so I started working with the kids, and it actually brought something to me, because when I worked in substance use, one of the questions we would ask for intake was always, if you could change one thing about your life, what would it be? From the time you were little till now, like, what would it be if you could change one thing? And it was so crazy. It was like they all had the exact same answer. Like, they all just, everybody that came in would come in and, say the exact same thing. And that was, I wish my parents were stricter on me. And, because of that,
that's crazy, isn't it?
It is.
It's crazy for a kid to say that.
Yeah, but it brought so much enlightenment to me as far as that goes, because kids need discipline, they need structure, they need routine, and it's our jobs as parents, it's our jobs as adults to provide that to children.
Yep.
And whenever they're left to their own devices, they're going to do things they shouldn't be doing, such as substance use.
Right.
And then it just restarts the cycle of addiction over and over and over again.
Yep. 100%.
So,
so what's next for you?
so some things I would love to do is, oh, well, let me finish telling you about what I'm
Yes.
currently doing.
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Somebody wrote in here squirrel, and I swear the CEO of our company, that's what she always says to me. You're such a squirrel. Because one thing, I'll get off track and I'll start talking about something and I'll just totally forget.
Yeah.
But so I'm currently the clinical director of Purchase Youth Village. We are a level 2 mental health facility. And in fact, we're currently the only level 2 mental health facility in Kentucky. So we have the most severe kids in the state of Kentucky. And you know, we're also in the process of starting a substance use unit. And so I'm liking all these comments over here. Squirrels
Right.
don't go hungry. But yeah, so we're currently in the process of opening a substance use unit for children. One thing that I've noticed everywhere, not just in Kentucky, but especially in Kentucky, there is nowhere for children to go when they have substance use problems. And a lot of times, just like with adults, it's removing ourselves from the people, places, and things, plus, you know, the therapy, the coping skills, learning new ways, and you know, giving these kids a new set of eyes. And so, you know, that's our goal for the future, is to start this substance use unit and give kids a place who are struggling in active addiction to go to.
Yeah. And it's inpatient, right? It's a secure
It
facility.
is, yes. We are completely locked down. You cannot go. Kids, they'll tell me, so I'm going to AWOL. I'm like, well, good luck. Because I have a hard time even getting in and out of these doors sometimes. So, and I've got a key. So good luck AWOLing, you know,
Right.
because we are 100%, we are completely locked down facility.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy that it's good. When I say crazy, I mean it like in a sad way, that there has to be a place like that for kids.
Absolutely. It is. And, you know, a lot of times, like I had said before, it starts, you know, with the home life. It starts right at home, and, you know, and it spirals because a lot of times the parents, they don't know
Right.
how to do things differently, because
Right.
no one's ever taught them how to, you know, do things differently. And so they parent how they were parented. And with the world being so aware of the mental health issues that we have currently, you know, it really makes it a lot easier for kids to get the treatment they need. I think what we see a lot of times too are children who are in CPS custody and have nowheres to go. You know, the parents will be in active addiction and they have no place for their kids to go. And so, you know, we have CPS workers currently sleeping in the buildings with their kids, with kids that have been taken into, you know, state's custody. And I'm telling you, about 90% of these parents are in active addiction. You know, and it usually, what stems from, you know, children getting taken out of their homes is addiction.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I had something I was going to ask. I don't remember what it was now. I hate it when that happens. So how long have you been there? How long have you been working with kids?
I have been working with kids for about 7 years now. Doesn't seem like it's been
Okay.
that long, but I'm telling you what, it's really taught me some patience because,
I bet it has.
come on, here comes Capone again.
Yeah, exactly, Randy. Squirrel.
Yes, yes,
You were exactly right.
no. So,
Uh,
get down. My dogs, oh my gosh. They
I've got.
fight for attention. They're like, we love
Oh, I
you,
know it. I know it.
please.
I've got two big dogs too. I've got a pit bull and a pit bull English bulldog mix. Or
Yeah,
English, yeah, English bulldog mix.
yeah.
And they're the
Uh,
same way. They fight over me. You know.
yes. Yeah, that's how they are too. They're like, who can get my attention the first? Actually, Capone, he's an American bully, and
Yeah,
my kid's dad also breeds American bullies, and so he gave us Capone, and he's
that's
my baby.
awesome.
And then Duke, he's just a big oaf. He
Yeah,
is an oaf. He has no idea. He's clueless about how big he is.
yeah. That's the way Hondo, my half English, half pit. He's not very tall. He's short, but he weighs 80 pounds. So he's
Right.
just
Yes.
short and solid. He has
Yes.
no clue
Yes.
that he's that big.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So what's next? Do you want to share about what your dream is? What that we talked
Yeah,
about backstage?
something I would like to do. Well, what's next for me? I plan to go on and finish my PhD. Um, it's just something. It's my next thing in my mind that
Mhm.
I feel like I need to do. So
That's awesome.
that's my next thing. I also would like to start a nonprofit organization focusing on dads,
Mm,
helping dads, that are not currently in their children's lives due to whatever,
yeah,
and help them to um, regain some type of custody with their children.
I love it. I
Yes.
absolutely love it. That is so awesome. Because a lot of times it's you know like you said, it's such a stigma against dads sometimes. Not all the time, but a lot of times, especially when it comes to custody battles and stuff like that. People
Yeah,
are
they
more
tend to
forgiving.
favor the moms.
They tend
And
to favor the mom, even when the mom might be in addiction too.
right, right, yes.
They tend to more give her more chances than they do
Yes.
the
The
dad.
dad, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So that I think that's awesome. I love it. I absolutely
Yeah.
love it. Does anybody have any questions for Krystal? I'll put them in the chat if you do, because we still have a few more minutes. While we're waiting to see if anybody does that, I don't have a guest scheduled for next week. I should probably work on that. The week after that, though, Jackie Hallberg is going to be a guest. 2 weeks after that, I'm going to have a whole family on.
Oh,
There's going to be a mom and dad, and I think they're grown now, but 3 kids. Mom and dad are pastors. All 3 kids have a story with addiction. Their story is not unlike mine. Grew up in a good house, just went stupid when they got out of the house. So I'm really excited to have them on and tell their story. So
and
that's
one
going to
thing
be
I
a
do
good
when
show.
after you said that, it made me think about this. But when it comes to parenting, there is absolutely no guide on how we parent. You know what I mean? But one thing I do like to tell parents, always, allow your kids to make 14-year-old mistakes when they're 14.
Mm-hmm.
I see parents a lot of time, and parents want to protect their children, of course, but at the same time, we also have to give them the freedom to make mistakes. We have to give them the freedom to do things such as dye their hair or wear the clothes they want to, of course, within reason. But we have to, as parents, let our kids make 14-year-old mistakes, because if not, they're going to be making those mistakes at 40 whenever
Mm-hmm.
it's too late, and they
Mm-hmm.
should be. A lot of times when I see, I'll see grown women and they're dressing like and acting like they're 16-year-olds, and
Right.
immediately in my mind, what I'm thinking is, okay, well, I bet they had really strict parents growing up, and they're now like living that,
Yeah.
um, you know, as adults.
Yeah.
And so, so that's one thing I do. I want to always share with people, like, let your children make mistakes when they're young enough to do so. And I said, because if not, they have to in life go through certain stages, and if they're
Yep.
not given the opportunity, they're eventually going to do it. They'll just do it when they're grown, and the consequences are so much more real.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That was a lot of my deal growing up. My parents were super, super strict. So when I got out of the house, I just went buck wild.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's what I call the preacher's daughter syndrome.
More or
And
less. Yep.
yeah,
My parents weren't pastors, but we were in a really strong, really strict Christian home.
yeah. And, of course, as parents, we do the best we can, and we want to protect our kids. You know what I mean? But if we don't have the opportunities to face the peer pressure, to learn how to say no, to express ourselves, we do it when we're grown.
Mm-hmm.
And, leading to a whole society that has no idea what they're doing,
Yep. For sure. Melanie's the same way. She said, hashtag child of strict parents. It happens, man. And
I
it's
think my
crazy.
mom
Like,
down here, I was lucky that my parents they were strict within reason, but it was
yeah.
never anything where, they were helicopter parents or
Yeah.
wouldn't let us, learn to make our own choices and decisions in life. And,
Yeah.
they would guide us, but never control us.
Yep. For sure. Well, I mean, there's a difference in being strict and being a parent.
Right.
Or being
Right.
super strict and being a parent. Being a parent by default involves some strictness. Um,
Yes.
so yeah. Well, Krystal, this has been
My dogs
amazing. I
are
loved.
doing it again.
No, you're good. We're fixing to wrap it up anyway, so it's all good. Um, it's been amazing hearing. I've heard some of your story before, hearing some of it that I didn't know again tonight, and just like I didn't know that you were still friends with your ex-husband, and you had a great relationship, and you and his new wife are friends. Like, that's awesome. That says, like I said, that really says a lot about you, and just the fact that you like or see the need to work with men too, is amazing, and see that it's something that's needed. Um, not discounting moms. Kids need their moms too. They
Oh,
need both.
absolutely.
They gotta have both. Like this,
Yes.
it's not good whenever one or the other is missing.
Right.
Um, Both of them are equally as important. So thank you so much for that.
Yes.
I think that's it. Thank y'all for showing up, man. I say it every week. I couldn't do it without you. All the support and the love you show to me, to the show, to my guests. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it, and I don't ever take it for granted. Hopefully I'll be here. Hopefully I'll be here next week. I got to find a guest. I did not realize I didn't have one until I just looked at my calendar. So hopefully we'll be here next week. But if not, we'll be here the week after. Krystal, thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you
Y'all
so
have a
much.
good one. Good night.
Bye. Bye.